Hey, good day, everyone. Good to have you tuned in with us. Just going to go over some techniques and some tips in the way that I rig my stuff when I'm dragging baits. One of the things I use, and I'm going to go over all the details of my rod and reel setup. The rods that I use are Tangling with Catfish, and they are the Extreme Series rods. I use two different kind of reels. For years, I run 65 Abu Garcia 6500s. I am switching over to a lot of the 7000s now, and there is for a particular reason. A 6500, I feel confident that whatever I tie into, whatever I catch, I can land him with the 6500. There's absolutely no question about that. I have put some giants in the boat with the 6500. The problem I run into with the 6500 when I'm dragging baits is the capacity of line that I'm able to handle on my reel. If I get home one time and I break off, then I lose a lot of line. And when I'm dragging, I really like to have my lines a good distance away from the boat. Running planer boards, I'm going to have them way out to the side. Even with the ones straight behind the boat, I am going to have them a long way out. So if I break off one or two times, something was to happen with the 6500, I lose a lot of line that I had on my spool. With the 7000s, a lot more line capacity. So that's the difference of the two of why I'm switching over to the 7000s, is just particularly the line capacity of them. This is the brand line that I run. You can get it at Bass Pro Shop, and it's hard to beat the price of this. 40-pound main line is what I use, and this is the brand. It is called Offshore Angler Tight Line. You can see that I always use the high vis. Yellow here is what I use. Seem to be good. And let me share one secret about this mono. And I've used mono for years and years. To me, if you're going to use mono, you need to pay close attention. And I do change my line out probably 2 to 3 times in a year. If mono stretches, say you hang up and you stretch it, you're going to lose that stretchability, and you also, that line gets thinner. So it's not going to be as strong as it once was before it stretched. So saying that, a lot of people put mono on their reels. They run them for years and years, or a year or two, and they stretching them, and they done stretched all the elasticity out of the line. It gets weak. I want to tell you, keep some fresh mono on your line. This right here roll is going to be 748 yards, and you can buy this at Bass Pro Shop for 14 bucks. I've been using it for years, and I'm a believer in it. As strong as anything out there on the market, and it's not really expensive. I believe if you try it, watch for the nicks in your line, change it out pretty regular, you're not going to have any issues. So that every reel that I've got is lined with 40-pound. My main line is 40-pound mono. My leader, on the other hand, and I just switched to this probably a year ago. I was running 50-pound leader. The problem with the leader line, I upped this. I was having a few issues, and probably if you get a little lazy and you don't keep a check on the little nicks and stuff, you get some little nicks and abrasion stuff on your line. Next thing you know, you hook into a fish and it pops it. It breaks it. If anybody knows, matter of fact, if you see my wrist there, if you stick your hands inside of a catfish's mouth, it is like 50 grit sandpaper, and it can tear up some line. And not only that, but if a catfish gets tangled up in your line, his fins, if you ever get a hold to a catfish, the back side of his fins is sort of serrated, so it has a cutting action to it. I went from 50 pound to 80, and since I went to 80 pound, I've not had not one single issue with my main line breaking. Not one. The reason I went with 80 pound is probably over a year ago, I had one slam my rod down, and it was my fault. We had went that day, caught several fish, not checking my leader, and when one slammed it down, I didn't hardly get no pressure put on him, and he come off. I thought he just come off. I reeled it in, and my leader line between right up from my hook is where it come loose. So I told Joey when I was going home at that, that won't happen again. It's so hard to hook up with big fish that the last thing I want to do is miss him or him get away because I was not prepared for that opportunity. So that's what I use, 80 pound mono on that. You can see that. You can buy the same line. You can even get it up to 100 pounds if you want it. Bass Pro Shop, 14 bucks a roll for this. These are pretty good size rolls. For 80 pounds, it's 322 yards. And that's what I use on that. Now let me share something else what I use. This is my hook of choice. Started using this. This is a Mad Catter. All these products here, the majority of the products that I use, you can find them at Dale's Tackle. This is a Mad Catter. Now, there is a particular thing that I'm looking for anytime that I pick up a hook. And I'm going to show you this. And if I'm out looking for trophy catfish, and if I can't do this to a hook, I really don't have a whole lot of confidence in it when looking for big catfish. Y'all see this, my thumb? I've got pretty good sized hands. I want my thumb to be able to fit down between this shank and this tip. Between here and here. My thumb ought to go down in between it. Now, the reason why, if you've never experienced this, next time that you see someone or you catch a fish that's 40 plus pounds, when you grab him by the lips, man, them 50 and 60 pounders, I call it their lips, their top and bottom, they really thick. And if you have a smaller hook, I'm just going to use this for an example. If you have a smaller hook, and I do use these if I'm in something where we're into smaller fish, and I'm not just necessarily focusing on big fish, but y'all see that right there? That would not fit around his bottom or top lip. So if he tries to grab it, it's just going to get him in the lip. It's not going to get him behind it. And I want to be able to get him behind that. And if you stick with something small like that, the only chance you really have hooking him up is you're going to have to get him hooked in the jaw. Now, a lot of times I hook him through the top lip, the bottom lip. I want to be able, no matter where this hook is at, I want to feel confident I can get a good hook set up. If you've never tried, these are Mad Catter XHDs. If you've never tried these, give them a try. You can find these at Dale's Tackle also. As for the XHD, if you contact Dale's Tackle, tell him you want the SmackDown edition of the Mad Catter. He'll know exactly what you're talking about. I hear hooks breaking. I'm telling you, you're not going to break this hook right here. It is heavy duty. And if you're having problems with hookups, try you one of these. Now, this is what I always set the hook. Now, I always let the fish load my line up. I always let him load the pole up, but when I reach and grab it, I always hit him one time. If you'll do that, listen, I'm telling you, 90-something% of your hooks is going to end up, you're going to hook up with them. 90% of your bites, you're going to hook up with them if you will let him load that pole up, and when you grab it, reach and hit him one good time. And I promise you, your hookup rate is going to be 90+%, I would believe. Now, when I'm dragging baits, I don't know if I shared this to start with, I use a structure snake. This is what I use here, and I'm going to show you the rig that I've got, and I've got a couple of them already tied up. If you're not a friend or follow Joey Kirby on Facebook, me and him does a lot of fishing. He introduced me. Where I come from, we call them corks. I know the official name is floats, but he introduced these to me. I was using peg floats before, and I was sort of skeptical about tying a couple of extra knots in here, but I've had absolute, when I go to 80 pound, and with this setup, I ain't had no line break because of a fish. So here's the setup I have from this float of where I have it tied at to the hook itself is around 13 inches. That's what that is. 13 inches from here to there. That's what I have on that. Now we got another piece that goes from here to my swivel. And I'm going to let you know just how long that piece is. And that piece is about 21, 22 inches is what that is. And you can see that. And I have this swivel. I do not run a three-way. I just run a regular swivel with a clip right here on it. And when I get ready to drag, this will be tied to my main line. All right, we're going to get ready to tie this up. And this right here has been the most successful knot that I've used running mono. I know everybody's got their own preference, but I'm going to put it in here just like that. We run it in at one time. Let me get situated. Y'all see that? And I run it back through again. I double that. So if you can see this, that's been doubled on there. All right. This has been doubled on my swivel here. Just like that, I'm gonna run it down, and I'm gonna just wrap it a couple of times around the main line, probably about 5 or 6. And I'm gonna take it and run it right back through that big main loop right there. And once I do that, I'm gonna just cinch it down. And there you've got that, and it's doubled around my swivel. And that being doubled, there it is. And I just usually take this, hook into there, and we're ready to drag baits. So without using a three-way, this sort of does the same thing. It's just hanging there. This is what lays down, and my cork and stuff comes up. This is what I drag with. Making sure you've got good equipment. It's very, very critical. As hard as it is to hook up with giant fish, with trophy catfish, if this is what you're looking for. If you're going out looking for trophy catfish, make sure that you are prepared to catch a big fish. Make sure your main line is in good shape. Make sure your leaders are in good shape. Make sure your hooks are sharp. Make sure your drag is set. I fish with a drag about halfway off, and I sit there and play with it the whole time that I have a catfish on. I know when I get him coming to the boat. I know when I get him at the boat, the first thing he's going to do is make a dive. If I'm not around any tops or any kind of debris, hey, I'm going to just break my drag off, and I'm going to let him just dive back down. I'm going to let him just wear himself out. I'm not in a contest to see how fast I can get him in if I'm not around any tops or snags or brushes. Now, if you there like that, you don't have no other choice but to lock your drag down and what I call just bully dog him in. So make sure you got all your stuff taken care of, all your I's dotted, and all your T's crossed, all your leader lines checked. Make sure there ain't no flaws. Make sure your knots is in good shape. And I promise you, next time you get hooked up on a catfish, I believe you'll be prepared to put him in the boat. Hey, God bless you. Look forward to seeing you on the water somewhere. If you happen to see me out and about, please holler at me, blow your horn at me when you're riding down the river and go by. And look forward to seeing you again. Maybe here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to put a couple big catfish in a boat. God bless you. Merry Christmas and have a good day.